Why does it continue to occur? Could someone who is still living just accept that? Why does it continue to occur? Walk ahead and walk out on the street if you want to. However, I don't have time for your candy-ass hero nonsense. Error. The army doesn't make mistakes. They wouldn't work. Bro, are you attempting to kiss me? I'm sorry, Jesus. I don't know. I simply don't think it's homophobic. Simply put, friend, you're not the one for me. Be involved in criminal activity, correct? Not without committing a small crime. All I want to know is what's happening in those ears. In addition to some Egyptian reggae, of course. Greg is that person. Not convincing. Unconvincing. What do you mean? Greg is that person. I'm going to acquire this puppy. You find the thought of a dog appealing. Anyone who has a dog enjoys the thought of getting one. That's the reason they initially acquired the dog. However, we are unable to provide you with anything further at this time. All we have is that. All we have is that. Harper, the detective. Did you really know her? I mean, I got into serious difficulty again in 2009. For me, everything kind of changed at that point. However, I quit drinking at that point. Yes, yes, yes. Are you not a drinker? I don't. Do you not? How long will it last? Since 2009. Good. Congratulations. It's quite some time. What if the actor who made a name for himself playing unbreakable, tormented characters stood in a detention cell believing that one careless blow might end his life? He was struck unconscious while standing. He smashed his head on the sidewalk after falling, and I was kind of jumped on by his pals. I attempted to accomplish what I could while leaning my back against a tree. This 5/2011 behemoth was raised in a close-knit family in Cabin John, Maryland, and was born Jonathan Edward Bernthal on the 20th of September, 1976, in Washington, D.C., son of renowned attorney Eric Lawrence Bernthal and Joan Lurie Marks. My parents were similar to the parents in Washington, D.C., where we grew up. If you were ever in difficulty, each of them had their own special, distinct, and secret friendships. You would thus go to my dad if you were in danger. John has a creative heritage. Murray Bernthal, his paternal grandpa, was a well-known composer and producer with a reputation for Syracuse shows and vaudeville performances. His brothers made outstanding careers. Nicholas went on to become a professor at UCLA and an orthopedic surgeon. Before starting Kelton Global and being married to Sheryl Sandberg, Thomas became a 3-time Emmy-winning NBC producer. As a son, I was really disappointed. You know, when you discuss my brothers, yes, let's get started. Nick is a professor at UCLA and an orthopedic surgeon. Yes, he is UCLA's head of orthopedics and oncology. He really attended Princeton, where he played basketball and was an All-American football player. Having an elder brother like this is unfortunate. No, that's my younger brother. My younger brother is that. Even terrible is that. Yes, literally. However, keep in mind that the older brother was employed in the White House Communications Department of the Clinton administration. A tiny amount. Yes, indeed, a tiny amount. Hold on. Bro, don't give him that one. It's challenging enough. Before his untimely death from COVID problems in 2020, cousin Adam Schlesinger, the leader of the Fountains of Wayne, responsible for classics like Stacy's Mom, brought rock and roll vitality to the family tree. However, at Sidwell Friends School, a Quaker school that emphasizes equality and peace, where he graduated in 1995, young John publicly referred to himself as a troublemaker and a restless child. His inner anguish conflicted with the school's tranquil atmosphere, yet it sowed the seeds of empathy he now credits. Tease his thoughts on those early years. The raw jailhouse vow that ignited his sobriety will strike hard, so fasten your seatbelts. You'll be shocked by the pre-scandal Hollywood bully he called out, and you'll be in awe of the family health worries that put his willpower to the test. In 1998, John enrolled at Saratoga Springs, New York's liberal arts-focused Skidmore College. However, the regimented lifestyle was inappropriate. After a year, he left and lost his aimless defiance in his fixation with sports, like boxing and football. Yes, I began acting at Skidmore, where I went to play baseball. Then a theater class arrived, which he thought would be an easy way to watch movies and drop acid. He was given a catcher's glove when he made up a heartbreaking show-and-tell tale about his dying mother in a tiny acting group of only 7. Tears filled the room, including his own. Although Alma Becker, his instructor, scolded him hard for betraying trust despite seeing the spark, The deception revealed genuine emotional connection. As punishment, she had them attend an audition. His enthusiasm was sparked by that performance, which turned into his debut play. I enrolled in an introductory theater class that all the athletes attended, and I heard you could simply take acid and watch movies in the back while sitting in the amphitheater. I assumed it was going to be this large. That's for me, I thought. I wound up in the introductory acting course, which was a serious acting student course, because I am a complete jerk, and this was unlike anything I had ever seen. Bringing something you truly cared about to share with the class was the first task. The strangest thing in the world, in my opinion, was that everyone was seated on the ground. For example, why are we seated on the ground? And they were walking about, sharing theatergoers one by one. They were taking it very seriously, as seen by their intense emotion. And, I suddenly realized it. It was working even though I brought nothing at all. Did you not love anything? It seems like I never considered bringing in an assignment. In any case, it was gradually making its way to me. And since I was going to have autumn practice immediately after, the only thing I considered doing was grabbing my catcher's glove. I then started telling a narrative about how my mother gave me this glove when she was dying, even though she was still alive. God, oh God, yes, that, in my opinion, fell short of acting. He was virtually saved from a downward spiral by Becker, who now had a tattoo on his arm, seeing his potential and pushing him nonstop. On the recommendation of one of your acting professors, you traveled to Moscow? Yes, I have this woman's name tattooed here, Alma Becker. She taught me acting for the first time. Could theater, however, subdue the inner warrior? On Becker's recommendation, Jon traveled to Russia in 1999 to attend the esteemed Moscow Art Theater School, a legendary establishment established by Stanislavski. This instructor suggests that you consider studying in Moscow. Yes, Guy, I had no idea. I was certain that this was what I wanted to accomplish. It was baseball and acting after I got into acting, you know. Is this comparable to '96? Which year is it? I visited Russia in 1998 and stayed there till 2001. Whoa, 3 years? Yes, 2 years. She had arranged for me to have an audition, and during my first year there, I felt like I was in a Russian school. After the fall of the Soviet Union, I arrived in a harsh, mob-shadowed environment. There was open harassment of women, guns in the streets, and widespread economic distress. The training was brutal. 10,000 applications were reduced to 100 through daily ballet, acrobatics, synchronized exercises, and etudes. These were then brutally cut in half every year. No one spoke English. Everything via Max, the translator. He played catcher for a professional baseball club in the European Federation, earning $25 a game for Georgian feasts and vodka-fueled nights with locals in order to make ends meet. You know, Moscow had just acquired a team while I was there to earn a little cash. It was intriguing because, Russian baseball was kind of this thing and all these new American things were sort of emerging. You truly had a completely different Moscow and a very different Russia. There was a Moscow when all the children I attended school with came from the Ural Mountains, eating off a hot plate and living in extreme poverty. However, nighttime activities included playing theatrical games, singing, rapping, and drinking vodka. Nobody had any money, you know. As a result, you had to scavenge together for what needed to be done. I kind of knew that, you know. However, the infatuation with American culture, American eateries, and McDonald's was another aspect of the mafia. Baseball was one of the things. There was a new trend in Russia where these mafia guys would go to baseball games with their model girlfriends. He learned resilience and cultural humility from the event, which created iron discipline in the midst of turmoil. He overcame culture shock as well. He was reminded that he was a nobody in a lawless society when he interfered in a vehicle assault on his third day in Russia and received a gunshot wound to the temple. When Mercedes pulls up in front of me, 2 men get out of the front seat and reach into the rear seat to retrieve something, and I notice that this woman is being pulled out of the rear seat of this Mercedes. She has gorgeous red hair and is wearing a gorgeous party dress. They obviously don't notice me because I'm the only person on the street, but this woman does. She looks directly into my eyes. Additionally, they are removing her from the side. She is being dragged from the rear seat. She's not opposing them, but she's also not assisting them. She is being dragged while fully limp. She is brought to this building, where they just begin to open her head against the structure's side. They simply begin to crush her skull. "What are you doing?" And he just pulled out a revolver, pointed it directly at my forehead, and yelled, "Go away," in English. And, Joe, I knew, like, in an instant, man, that, like, I was a bug. Like, it was a different level. I'd seen firearms, I'd seen things before, so I just knew that this was a whole other level. It was like day 3 when I left after listening to that and what they were doing. Scouted in Moscow by the director of Harvard's Institute for Advanced Theater Training. Harvard had a graduate school when I was in Russia. I apologize. That is quite pertinent. No, it's all right. No, I'm not sure whether this is important, but when they saw me in a performance and would take their MFA students there, they thought, "What the hell are you doing here?" Yes. When they offered me a slot, I thought, Harvard? Yes. Look at that. Indeed. To pursue a graduate degree. To go to graduate school. Despite the fact that I never attended college and did not complete my education, I had no idea someone could achieve that. Neither do I. However, returning to Russia as a Harvard student is a completely different experience, and it was also a remarkable event. However, I have an agency, and they have to do these showcases and other things. You graduated from Harvard with a master's degree. Yes, indeed. After receiving his MFA in 2002, Jon moved to New York. To cope with his inner anguish, he embraced method acting, founded his own company, Fovea Floods, which is now defunct, and dug into over 30 off-Broadway and regional productions. Tiny TV parts began to appear. Boston is a suspect. This may surprise you, Lori, but there isn't an entry-level office training program for convicts. Miami's CSI is a guest. However, we discovered you among her collection of rejects. All right, the girl is a bitch. I would never be a client of hers, she assured me. Too unsightly. Season 1 of How I Met Your Mother. I reasoned that because our relationship didn't work out, we could now just joke about it. In any case, this is Carlos Robin. He played a leading role in the 2004 Tony N. movie Tina's Wedding, where he improvised during tumultuous wedding sequences. You know, it's more than just brothers, it's forever. You are aware that I adore them. After relocating to Los Angeles in 2006, he was cast as a series regular on The Class, a sitcom about reunited classmates on CBS. Really? Are you serious? I work as a contractor, who, after all, completes a task on schedule. Despite compatibility with co-stars like Andrea Anders, the show was canceled after just 1 season, and he survived day 0. However, auditions were harsh. In one nightmare, he embarrassed himself by mispronouncing lines for a significant part. The early grind was teased. Did auditions not go well for you? Oh my God. Yes, I did. Chaz Palminteri. Oh boy. I had an audition to star in a film that Chaz Palminteri was directing when I first arrived. I consider Chaz Palminteri to be my hero. He told me over the phone that he loved the audition and asked me to come to his house for a private lunchtime tryout. As the psychopath that I am, I arrive around 6 hours ahead of schedule and try to fit in. I even gave my mother a call. "Mama, today is the day," I say. I make my way up the driveway of Chaz Palminteri. "Are you spending 6 hours standing in front of his house?" "Yes, simply around the neighborhood, attempting to adopt the persona, you know?" "Yes, that's great for you. Like a whole monkey, that is. This is genuine." Before you know it, I'm in the rear of a police vehicle. I'm trying to grab her attention while I'm freaking shackled, so like a crazy person, I start banging my skull on the glass. They claim to have received a report of a strange man talking to himself while leaning on a fence near an elementary school, and that it was me acting like a total oddball in an attempt to fit in. However, 2009 brought about a nearly deadly turnabout. While out for a walk with his pit bull employer, Jon noticed an elderly couple playing the didgeridoo, being harassed by an inebriated man. The boss was seized by the attacker. Despite Jon's warnings, the guy and his companions pursued with vigor. Jon punched the attacker, causing his skull to shatter against the concrete and rendering him unconscious. Fearful of being charged with manslaughter, Jon sat in jail after being arrested for felony assault, facing a $2 million civil claim and 3 years probation. He was struck unconscious while standing. He smashed his head on the pavement after falling. I was kind of jumped on by all of his pals. They began to overwhelm me despite my best efforts to place my back against the tree. Long story short, the police arrived, and it appeared that he was not awakening. I felt like I was shackled to the side as I sat there. A few of my pals attended. I persuaded them to remove my dogs from the area. I was taken to Pacific Division as people from the party poured beer on my head. The police simply said, "Hey man, you know, if he doesn't wake up, that's kind of that." Worrying about what will happen if this person doesn't wake up. And I recall perching on the bench. I was going to need to make some type of contact. I would have to play the devil, he vowed silently. "I'm done if you can get me out of this." The guy opened his eyes. However, my next thought was to simply look up and say, "But if you can just get me out of this, I swear to you, like, I am done. I'll devote my entire life to it." A little later, a police officer arrived and reported that the man had awakened. On the 3rd of July, 2009, Jon committed to therapy and service and attained sobriety. Would this lowest point ultimately lead to his breakout or drag him back into the shadows? Jon just became engaged to Erin Angle, the niece of WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle and Eric Angle, on the 3rd of July 2010. On September 25 in Potomac, Maryland, Jon wed her. He debuted as Shane Walsh on AMC's The Walking Dead that same year. "Would you kindly give me another helping, Shane?" "Only one. I'll be a hero with you." These people will be fed Kermit's legs in the Cajun way. He called Frank Darabont's direction lightning in a bottle and was nominated for a 2011 Scream Award for breakout performance. Lifelong relationships were formed with co-stars Andrew Lincoln, Norman Reedus, and others. You know, it's crazy because I continue to do this act and share those times with everyone who would listen. We were all there to help one another. We had no idea what this concert would be about. There was something about it that we enjoyed, and I believe all of our agents warned us against doing it. The performers had a sense of togetherness. You say things like family and such, but in reality, they were more like blood brothers and sisters. Additionally, he played Sergeant Manuel Rodriguez in the 2010 HBO miniseries, The Pacific. "Hello everyone, JP and Manny are here. Hello everyone." Jon saw Shane's passing in Season 2 as a godsend and the nicest thing that had ever occurred to my profession. "Rick, I'm a better father than you. Man, I'm better for Lori than you are. I can be here, and I'll fight for her, which is why I'm a better guy than you, Rick." In 2018's What Comes After, he emotionally returned to the character. "I'm trying to find my relatives." "I see. Are you doing that? Are you currently searching for your family?" "That isn't totally accurate, though. You may say that you're searching for my family." Momentum increased after 2012. 2013 saw Brad have supporting parts in Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street and Snitch. Watch, sell me that pen. Proceed. "Do you want this pen to be sold?" "That's my boy. This writing instrument. Please do me a favor. Would you mind naming that napkin for me? I'm without a pen." Supply and demand, exactly, my friend. His captivating presence in the group won him plaudits from critics. He co-starred with Brad Pitt as Grady Travis in the 2014 film Fury, which won praise for its unadulterated roughness. "The Army is error-free. Follow their lead. Are you from Missouri?" "No." "Are you from Chicago?" "No, you're from Arkansas, right?" "No, my hometown is Pittsburgh." "Hey, shut up, dude." His nose, which was smashed 14 times during actual fights and stunts, came to represent his hallmarks. Characters with emotional trauma and a short fuse. Denis Villeneuve's critically acclaimed Sicario was released in 2015. I told you, okay? They simply approached me and wanted to discuss our issue with us. Indeed, I did it. I never won, but I gave it to them, along with an earl, a dying girl, and me. What are your thoughts, class? Honor the research. That's what I mean. We are also your friends. I'll tell you what. You guys should yell at me when you're ready to start taking some serious loot. Bring the lads, you know. You are capable of doing it. Consider it, don't you? I'll tell you what, guys. Brunch is on me. In June 2015, he served as executive producer of the play The Time of Our Lives at Edinburgh Fringe. In 2016, Marvel revealed that he would play Frank Castle, the Punisher, in Daredevil Season 2. You folks refer to me as the Punisher, don't you? At first, Jon was hesitant to venture into superhero territory, but the work of Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio drew him in. His heartbreaking sadness was praised by critics. Jerry Conway, a co-creator, referred to it as his favorite Punisher movie. From 2017 until 2019, the role was expanded into The Punisher, revived, and then discontinued. Jon used his own internal demons to do his own exploits. When alt-right organizations appropriated the skull emblem, controversy sprang up. Jon appeared at the Capitol riot on January 6th and gave a direct response. F them. He opposed radical appropriation but praised its military usage as a source of pride for people in danger. I was appalled and devastated by the video, just like a lot of other people, and I had a strong desire to participate in that. However, I observed people hurling bottles at police officers as I switched on the TV. And every one of those police officers is a brother, sister, son, daughter, or closest friend to me, and that sickened me. He first left over creative direction for his 2025 comeback in Daredevil, Born Again, but he came back to maintain the character's tenacity. The 2025 follow-up was inspired by Ben Affleck's role as Brax in the 2016 film The Accountant. 2017 was a turbulent year. Griff is played by Baby Driver. Mommy and Daddy are having sex when you consider that, sweetie. Enough. Yes. Where do you get off? This is it. Wind River by Taylor Sheridan. I'm trying to find my hero. This appears to be his trailer. You know, I'm a little lacking in armor. Shot Caller is a prison drama. The keys to this yard belong to the man you are going to meet. Show him respect. Pilgrimage as the mute, too. Being praised for his powerful, quiet passion while remaining mute on set for realism. However, Baby Driver soured because of Kevin Spacey. Before accusations came to light, Jon publicly called him out after experiencing intense bullying and losing respect. He really irritated me while I was on the set, as I recall. It's funny, you know. People in my life and those I was working with at the time recall my saying that. That year, Sweet Virginia won praise for his helpless hotel owner, suffering from Parkinson's disease. All right, simply set it down. Does it still shoot? Set down the firearm. I won't say it once again. I'll kill you with a gun. Jon returned to the role in Widows in 2018. With the birth of his boys, Henry and Billy in 2013, and his daughter Adeline in 2015, fatherhood became more profound in 2011. Being something of a prominent figure, that strikes me in a really strange manner. The first thing that comes to mind when you ask me who I am is that I am the father of Henry, Billy, and Addie. I mean, that's my identity. I am Aaron's spouse. That's my identity. The family was scared when Adeline went into a 3-day coma in 2018 due to a seizure. Her complete recovery bolstered Jon's appreciation. Boston Venice made an appearance in Rampart with Aaron and their 3 pit bulls in Ojai, California. Jon and Nicholas co-run the organization Drops Fill Buckets, which focuses on entrepreneurial impact, and Jon is an ardent supporter of pit bull rescue through the Animal Farm Foundation. He discusses unlearning toxic masculinity and strikes a balance between empathy and ferocity as a lifetime supporter of the Washington Commanders. As a parent of 2 boys, I am aware of the kind of men and young men I want them to grow up to be, as well as the models of masculinity I want them to look up to. I absolutely think that discipline is important. You know, my children are martial arts practitioners. I firmly believe that my daughter's self-defense and self-management skills are crucial, not only for them. These traits are, in my opinion, the pillars of traditional masculinity. However, kindness, empathy, connecting with a gentler side of oneself, and having the guts to do so are just as vital. Jon Bernthal gave exceptional performances in Ford vs. Ferrari as the Peanut Butter Falcon with Lee Iacocca. He played Rick Mackey in King Richard in 2021, enduring rigorous mustache preparation while overcoming obstacles on set. He also made appearances in The Unforgettable, Small Engine Repair, and The Many Saints of Newark, returning to his 2011 stage role by providing the voice of L.T. Cole D. Walker in Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands and its follow-up, Breakpoint. He further broadened his influence in the gaming industry. His depiction as dishonest Sergeant Wayne Jenkins in HBO's We Own It represented a significant makeover in 2022. Critics hailed this city as one of the best TV shows of the century, and it received universal accolades. He played Mikey Brisato in Hulu's The Bear and Julian Kay in American Gigolo during that time, roles he has maintained to this day. He received 2 further nominations and the 2024 Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series for the episode Fishes as a result of his efforts on The Bear. Jon started his podcast Real Ones in February 2022, intending to showcase real voices from a variety of backgrounds, such as police officers, gang members, soldiers, and activists. In an effort to promote open, sincere communication, visitors like Jamie Lee Curtis and Deborah Ann Wolfe have opened up in ways that few other venues have encouraged, bringing a stunning feeling of vulnerability to their discourse. Since 2009, Jon has been in excellent shape for Marvel's morning hard lifts, noon combat sports, boxing and jiu-jitsu, nightly stunt drills, diet, lean proteins, complex carbohydrates, and no processed foods, and accumulation of injuries, including ruptured ligaments, broken hands, and even a pre-wedding bar brawl that required staples. However, at 49, he places more importance on practical fitness than style. Originating in 2023, Daredevil, Born Again, and Punisher Return are from 2025. The Amateur, starring Rami Malek, and Netflix's His and Hers, which starred Tessa Thompson as Detective Jack Harper, debuted in January 2026, topped the charts, and was renewed for a second season. Jon has a very remarkable list of upcoming projects. He will feature in Christopher Nolan's eagerly awaited. In addition to co-writing and starring in The Odyssey with Tom Holland, a Punisher Disney Plus special presentation is scheduled for premiere in the summer or fall of 2026. In July 2026, he will make his eagerly anticipated big-screen MCU debut as the Punisher in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Previews for Jon's Broadway production of Dog Day Afternoon, which will feature him alongside Eben Moss-Bachrach, start on the 10th of March 2026. Snow Ponies and Stingray are two other projects that are still in development. As of March 2026, Nolan Partnerships, the MCU's comeback, and appearance payments ranging from $150,000 to $299,000 have contributed to Jon Bernthal's $12 million net fortune. Ultimately, the wounds that molded his anti-heroes created unbreakable fortitude, demonstrating that genuine strength can arise from chaos. If you were captivated by these layers, share your most important insight below. What did you find most shocking?